And we are live after the Browns beat the Tennessee Titans 41-36 or 41-35. I know I haven't been drinking, but I think we're all except one of us is a big surprise. But what impressed you about this game today? And starting with Nate, what's impressed you most?
Well, what impressed me most was just the hot start that they got off to and how they got off to it. I think they figured that they weren't going to win a ground and pound slugfest against the Titans. The Browns have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They're awesome. That's not the reason they weren't going to win a ground and pound slugfest. It's that the defense wasn't going to be able to contain Derrick Henry and for an entire game to the extent that it needed to, unless the Browns opened things up a little bit and jumped out to a lead. The best way to contain Derrick Henry was to get out to that 17-0 lead. So that hot start and what it did to neutralize Henry is what I was most impressed with.
Marla, Steve, thoughts?
I think I'm most impressed with the fact that they were able to throw the ball and get off to that quick start when you only had three real receivers. I mean, not counting the tight ends, but you're down in the receiving core, and I don't even know if I put Peoples-Jones in there as an experienced receiver. So, I mean, it was, to me, a gutsy move to come out winging it with Baker when your receiving core is a little bit thin. But I still think I don't know if I've recovered from the shock of just the entire first half. It was so almost surreal to me.
What about you, Steve?
I think that even if you hadn't watched the game and a friend had texted you the score, I think the thing you would be most impressed about today is Kevin Stefanski. How on earth he took a team that was so dysfunctional last year in the year of COVID and so many other distractions and plenty of injuries, and got a Browns team to 9-3. But if you watch the game, for me, the most impressive thing, and maybe it stands out clearly above other things, even Mayfield's play, would be Stefanski's first half play calling. And in keeping with your opening thought there, Nate, they weren't going to be able to win the game comfortably, certainly, by just relying on the ground attack, because that was going to be negated all along by Henry. And what really impressed me was that Stefanski was willing to concede that and to devise an air game plan. And it's been a long time already, but I think the first play of the game was a completion to Landry. It was a completion. I'm forgetting who it was to, but he came out and threw on the first play rather than the obligatory 2 or 3 yard gain up the middle to feel things out. I love the fact that the opening series featured the pass, and it featured the pass all the way up to the touchdown pass that wasn't. And easily should have been if Peoples-Jones hadn't caught the ball. So Stefanski's play calling for me in the first half.
Did we see the return of, and I don't know how much you guys watched Oklahoma. We might even say first season Baker Mayfield. But did we see that return today in some form or fashion?
I think definitely you saw a return of Baker Mayfield. I don't know about a return, but I think he keeps extending himself. We go back to the 3 consecutive weather games, 2 with the really high winds and another one with rain. And to me, I wasn't analyzing Mayfield's passing statistics almost at all in those games, but instead was trying to watch the way he was throwing the ball and doing what he could with the circumstances available. And I thought he played okay in those games. And I thought he played great in the first half today. In the first half, today's game was all about the first half. So obviously it was just, for me anyway, it was an extension of playing winning type ball in the 3 weather games. And today in a really important game where weather wasn't a factor, he showed up big time.
Yeah, I certainly think this is the most confident Baker has been in Cleveland, because even as well as he played as a rookie, I mean, this is a signature win. I think that throwing 4 touchdown passes against the Bengals and leading that game-winning drive was awesome for him, but it wasn't quite what the first half was today against a playoff caliber opponent in December, with the Browns in this tight playoff race and so much attention on this game as a true clash of teams that hope to be legitimate contenders. And he put the team on his back and really kind of took a step. He had talked on Wednesday about, hey, this is what we've been waiting for. Let's seize the moment. It seemed like he really was talking himself up to really rise to the occasion, and then he actually did. So I think he's more confident than he's been since he's been a member of the Browns.
I thought that was definitely the swagger Baker, because it's almost like, even though he said afterward that he doesn't listen to all the negativity, I thought that was the Baker who took all that to heart and said, I'm going to come out and show you guys, and girls too, obviously. But, I just thought that was the guy that put the stake in the middle of Ohio Stadium right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, George. Think about what we've been talking about in the previous 2 games. Yeah, they were wins, but there were those missed throws that were hanging over Baker's head, and one of them was a rainy game. But last week in Jacksonville, he didn't have any excuses, and he talked a lot about it. He even sent a tweet after the game saying, I can be better. Well, today he was better, so I think it was a really big deal for him to deliver in the way that he did today. And I got to give Steve credit. The rest of us picked the tight ends today, and Steve picked the Browns to win. And I thought that my comment with my prediction was that the Browns would have to play their best game yet. I just didn't know if they were ready for that. Certainly you knew they were capable of beating the Titans. I mean, the Browns rolled the Ravens last year in Baltimore. That kind of like stood out and came out of nowhere when you look back at that 6-10. The Ravens didn't lose for the rest of the regular season. So, if a team as talented as the Browns can put it all together, they can do these things. I didn't see it coming today, though, and Baker was a huge part of it.
How much does he owe the defense for basically bottling up Derrick Henry? I mean, they've been talking complementary football all year. This has been a prime example of complementary football for this season to me. Offense, defense.
Hey, George, in terms of that complementary football, while Nate was speaking and making me think of some of the other key points in the game, one thing we haven't talked about yet is the defense, of course, but when the 4th and 1 stop of Derrick Henry was made, just seemed momentous when it happened. And the more that kind of sunk in as the game flowed on, the complementary football was the defense just got you the ball back. Now offense do something with it. I think they scored a touchdown off the get back. But my thought that I kind of crystallized on at that point after the 4th and 1 stop was that will go down as one of the biggest hidden plays, if you will, of the expansion era.
And that tackle was made by Sheldon Richardson, not the guy you would probably expect to make it.
Who would you expect to make it?
Miles. But, I mean, I think this game by the defense was bigger because when you think of what they don't have in the secondary. I mean, Browns fans probably don't even know who MJ Stewart is. I mean, you got, you're missing 3 of the 4 guys that you thought were going to start in the defensive backfield at the beginning and during training camp. So that's why I think the defense has delivered an incredible performance today.
And Sheldon Richardson also had a forced fumble. So he had to stop on the turnover on downs, and then he created another turnover on Derrick Henry. Sheldon Richardson's a really good player. And I think he kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit because we do pay so much attention to Myles Garrett and then Denzel Ward. And even Ronnie Harrison, when he came in and was a bright spot at safety all of a sudden, I think people kind of said, well, he's the 3rd best defender. I don't know. Sheldon Richardson's really good. I think Harrison's in the top 5 for the Browns defense. But Harrison's good, and Vernon has shown he's still got something. It'd be great if he and Miles went off in the same game. That has yet to happen. So maybe they're saving it for the right time.
What I love about Richardson is he's got a toughness you can probably feel when you talk to him in an interview, and he's got that. Don't want to give Pittsburgh too much love, but the Steelers always seem to come up with that tough guy defender who's not afraid of anybody and just kicks butt. Both and what's coming out of his eyes and his face and what's in his game. Richardson is that. And there are some hidden guys too. I'll throw a quick bone to John Dorsey for bringing some toughness to the team in the form of a guy who isn't playing a ton right now, but made a super big play recently and made one monstrous special team hit today that kind of reflects who he is when he gets in on defense, and that's Taki. I think you can't have enough tough guys on defense, and those are at least two that they do have.
All right, Nate mentioned this earlier. We inquiring minds want to know. You're the only one that picked the Browns to win, Steve. Why did you pick the Browns to win this game?
George, because with my Canton South High School education, supplemented in a minor way by Miami University, I am able to tell the difference between 8 and 1. And Ryan Tannehill was a number 8 overall pick who's kind of playing like you would hope a good performer out of the number 8 spot would perform. So he's pretty good. He's not great. And Baker Mayfield was a number 1. And I don't know why. It's not really logical, but it's kind of something you pick up from his body language, his demeanor, his smart-ass ways, if you will, when he's doing commercials and quoting rap lines after a game. But there's something that comes out of him that really exudes a confidence. And all of that makes me think, or made me think, that at some point he's going to start playing like a number 1 overall pick if he can. Today, he showed that he can, and he certainly did.
That makes me think of a question I asked Nate before we started this, and after this we'll depart. But has Stefanski and this offensive staff basically rebuilt him confidence-wise after what happened last season?
I think no interceptions in the past 5 games is kind of the way I would answer yes. I mean, he had 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. Last year is a huge part of his step back from his rookie season. They've got him playing efficient. They got him taking care of the ball. They've got him leaning on the running game in many ways and using the play action pass and that to his advantage. I think we're finally seeing him, kind of in recent weeks. The weather trilogy kind of threw us off track for a while, but I think we're seeing him settle in with this coaching staff and with this system. And that's why I say yes.
I would say yes, but I think giving him one of the best offensive lines in football has a lot to do with it. I still think that some of his confidence issues last year and his, throwing the ball around the yard was because he didn't trust his protection. But I do think, I can think back to Colt McCoy being the Browns quarterback and how they didn't run the right system for the guy's talents. He was great in the 2-minute drill, and they never ran the hurry up offense with him. So I'm giving Stefanski credit for all these rollouts and bootlegs and everything that's doing what Baker does best.
Super point about the line, Marla. Mayfield was playing a different sport last year than he's playing this year because of that protection.
All right, guys. Next week, it's the wee hours of Monday night. Here, are we taking bets on getting flex games? The next, what is it, 4? Next 5?
They have 4 left.
Yeah. Are we going to get flexed?
You already got a Monday nighter, so you're flexed into that.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about that for a little while.
Yeah.
All right. Let's call it an evening. I'm George Thomas with Nate Ulrich, Marla Ridenour, and Steve Doerschuk. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for
Enjoy
checking
the
in.
victory.